All right, today we are going way beyond the textbook and stepping right into the boardroom. We're about to do a deep dive into cost curves, which I promise you are one of the most powerful and practical ideas in all of microeconomics. Our goal here is to take these graphs that look abstract and turn them into concrete, powerful tools that you can actually use every single day to make smarter, more profitable decisions for your business. Okay, let's get into it. When you really boil it down, every single strategic decision you make, every operational choice, it all comes down to these two questions. If you get them right, you are on your way to building a really scalable, profitable business. But if you get them wrong, you're either leaving a ton of money on the table or, even worse, you're heading for disaster. These aren't just questions for a final exam. They're the high-stakes choices you face all the time. So today, we're going to build the framework to help you answer them with real confidence. So, let's open up our manager's toolkit. The very first tool we're going to pull out and master is marginal cost. I really want you to think of this as your secret weapon. It's what you'll use for making those sharp, tactical decisions in the short term, especially when a pricing opportunity just pops up. The best managers learn how to think on the margin, and this is the tool that lets you do exactly that. Now, the definition itself is simple, right? But its real power is in its precision. We're not talking about your average cost. We're not talking about your total cost. We are laser focused on the cost of producing just one more unit. That next customer who walks in the door, that next software license you sell, that next widget that comes off the assembly line. So why is this distinction so incredibly important? Well, because it forces you to separate the costs you've already paid for, the sunk costs, from the direct costs of making this one new decision. And that gives you incredible clarity. This hotel example makes the concept crystal clear. Imagine you run a 100-room hotel. It's 10 o'clock at night, and you've got one empty room left. A traveler walks in off the street. What is the actual cost to you of selling them that last room? I mean, think about it. You've already paid the mortgage, the front desk staff is getting paid whether that room is full or empty, the lights in the lobby are on. Those are all fixed costs. They don't change. The true marginal cost is just the direct expense for that one guest. We're talking maybe $5 to launder the sheets and towels, and $1 for the little bottles of shampoo. That's it. So what's the big takeaway for a manager? Well, knowing your marginal cost gives you amazing pricing flexibility. If that last-minute guest offers you $50 for the room and you know your marginal cost is only, say, $6, then accepting that offer adds $44 directly to your bottom line. That's pure profit. This is exactly the logic behind last-minute airline deals. But, and this is a huge but, if you price everything based only on marginal cost, you will go bankrupt. You'll never cover your mortgage, your salaries, or your marketing. Marginal cost is a scalpel for tactical opportunities. It is not a sustainable strategy for your entire business. Okay, let's grab our second tool. If marginal cost is the tactical scalpel for those precision pricing moves, then average total cost, or ATC, is more like a diagnostic X-ray. It gives you that essential big picture view of your company's overall financial health and, maybe most importantly, its operational efficiency. This is the number that tells you, on average, what it costs to produce each and everything you make. You take all of your expenses, and I mean everything, rent, salaries, materials, you name it, and you divide that big number by your total output. The result is your fundamental break-even price per unit. If you're consistently selling for less than your ATC, you're fundamentally losing money. It is as simple and as serious as that. And this is why your ATC isn't just one flat number. It actually changes dramatically depending on how much you produce, which gives us this classic U-shaped curve. So at first, as you produce more, your average cost per unit just plummets. Why? Because you're spreading the overhead. Imagine your factory rent is $100,000 a month. If you only make 1,000 widgets, each one has to carry $100 of that rent. But if you make 100,000 widgets, each one only carries $1 of rent. See? But then eventually the curve hits a bottom and starts to rise again. Your factory gets crowded, you have to pay people overtime, machines start breaking down from overuse. This is what we call diseconomies of scale, and they cause that average cost per unit to start climbing back up. So as a manager, your big strategic goal is to find the very bottom of that U-shaped curve. That point is your minimum efficient scale. It's the level of production that gives you the absolute lowest possible cost per unit. That number is your strategic North Star. It sets the floor for your long-term pricing, and it's a vital benchmark for the health of your whole operation. If you can't get your market price above this number, you have a business model that just isn't viable in the long run. Okay, and now for the masterstroke. We've got two powerful distinct tools, right? We have marginal cost for our short-term tactics and average total cost for our long-term strategy. The real genius, the true operational insight, happens when you bring them together and you understand what it means when they intersect. Now, before we even look at the graph, let's make this relationship super intuitive with an analogy we all get, your GPA. Think of your average total cost as your overall grade point average, and think of your marginal cost as the grade you get on your very next exam. It's simple, right? If your next exam grade, the marginal one, is lower than your overall GPA, what happens? It's going to pull your average down. And if you ace that next exam with a grade that's higher than your GPA, it's going to pull your average up. The only way for your GPA to stay exactly the same is if that next grade is precisely equal to your current average. And that exact same simple mathematical law governs our cost curves. The marginal cost, the cost of producing that next unit, is always pulling on the average cost. As long as the cost of the next unit is below the average, it's dragging that average down. The very moment the cost of the next unit rises above the average, it starts pulling the average back up. Because of that, the one and only place they can possibly cross is at the absolute bottom of the average total cost curve. This isn't just a theory, it's an economic and geometric certainty. So here's the crucial point that every manager needs to burn into their brain. That intersection isn't just a point on a graph. It is your operational sweet spot. It is the exact quantity of production where your company is running at peak efficiency, producing each unit for the lowest possible average cost. If you operate to the left of this point, you're underusing your factory and your people. If you operate to the right of it, you're creating waste and inefficiency. Your entire operational strategy, from staffing to supply chain, should be built around producing at or very close to this exact quantity. And this brings us to the final, really tough strategic challenge. Okay, you now know how to find your point of maximum efficiency. But what happens when a massive new order comes in from your most important client? An order that would force you to produce way beyond that sweet spot, pushing you up into the rising, inefficient part of your cost curve. Do you take the order? Do you accept the higher costs and lower margins just to satisfy a key partner? Or do you protect your operational efficiency? Answering that question, knowing when and why to strategically operate away from your sweet spot, well, that's the art that separates the good managers from the great ones.